Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast is part of this audio podcast in part of the a radio edition, and where this radio edition, this audio podcast, will be a sort of an overview in around another art book in process and in production. This 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 radio edition will have an overview in around an art book an art book in around healthcare through art. So this in around this art book, the contents has some surmised context in around in around the author, in around in around some an introduction, a sort of an abstract or an overview of the art book in an abstract. And the art book, this art book sort of links understanding of health and disease through art, and sort of descriptive research, and sort of highlighting sort of art through descriptive statistics, as well. And so this art book has sort of polls or sort of polls, and ask polls asking particular questions, um, uh, and so for example, what are your thoughts on altruistic organ donation? Can social media raise disease awareness? What coping strategies do those who suffer utilize or use? Who would service users see a healthcare professional other than a named one, and how can service users support how can service users support healthcare professionals? And also, where this art book has bases in around effects of disease, as well, or effect of renal disease. And where this art book focuses on sort of preliminary sort of data collection, linked with art, and where the this where this art book this art book focuses on sort of young on pediatrics and young people, and as part of this, as well as part of this audio podcast, as part of this audio podcast, the 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 art books, as part of this audio podcast, the art books, these art books also have sort of overviews in around the renal sort of collaborators, the renal patient support group, the RPSG, and the kidney disease and renal support group, or KDARS, KDARS for kids. There is, as part of this art book, there is an overview in uh, an overview, again, in context of an abstract, and also also sort of some sort of some sort of summary or concluding aspects in this art book as well. At the same time, just to highlight, just to provide a sort of a quick overview in what is in part of the sort of in part of the abstract of this in as part of this art book. So participants participants were invited to complete polls sort of once only on each of the polls implemented, and in around the the analysis. Descriptive analysis was utilized to describe and analyze data. In around the sort of results, in around the result, 825 participants contributed to polls, and towards the sort of latter parts of the abstracts of the abstract, over a decade, it is encouraging to see, it is encouraging that the RPSG participants are across various ethnicities and globally now has over 10,000 service users. And so the RPSG, with collaborators and partner organizations, continue to investigate and support remote service users. And so this art book, as per mentioned, has is in will be in process and in production, and this art book in around healthcare through art. There are notes. There are notes pages as well, and so this art book can be used as a sort of day-to-day to document and sort of jot down notes in context of day-to-day whatever anyone who looks to sort of get hold of this art book can use the art book in context of healthcare, but also in sort of day to day as well. So that draws this sort of this sort of audio podcast in around a basis on this particular art book. This has been an audio podcast as part of a radio edition, and this is an audio podcast in around an overview on another art book, Healthcare Through Art, as part of the science art collection, and this is the science collection, the science art collection 2. This is sort of book 2 or art book 2 in around the science art collection, and this has been an audio podcast as part of a radio edition and a sort of a research and analysis sort of perspective in around this as well. Thank you for tuning in. This has been another Storm Robotics production. Thank you.